Welcome home, Raiders. This week, patch 6.2.3 is coming to a PTR near you. Moose Mounts and Grimbatol and Valor. Oh my, this is Convert to Raid number 198.
You're listening to Convert to Raid, the podcast for Raiders in the world of Warcraft.
The Convert to Raid podcast power station in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Today is October 20th, 2015. It is now 9:08 p.m. Central Time. Welcome, everybody, to the show. Thanks for joining us from all around World of Warcraft land. My name is Pat Crane. I am the host of this shindig, of this pre-party to Blizzcon. And joining us, as always, the players are here. And look who's back. It's from... wait, hold on one second. Your camera's all messed up again. How did you do this? How did you mess up your camera again? No, don't touch it. I'll change it. Here we go. It's Darius. Oh, now it's all blurry.
I heard Shark said something rather regretful, so I figured I would come back and try to save the show.
Right.
I know everybody missed me.
Right. That's it. That must be it. Oh, get out of here. All right. We're going to go back to me. And then we're going to go to one of our friends from LOS Gaming, from Line of Sight Gaming. It's Tattva. Hey, man.
Hey, guys. Hey, Doug. What's up?
Nice to see you. And from...
I'm a friend. Well, I'm a friend now. I'm a friend. Last time I was an acquaintance, I think.
Well, last time... Darius threw me off last time. We'll just move on.
I'm glad to be a friend now, though. I really am.
Well, and we'll go to our other friend from the Starting Zone, Stormcast, and a bunch of other podcasts. It's Mick Montgomery. Hello.
Guys, I had a dream last night that I was a muffler, and I woke up exhausted.
Yeah.
Hashtag dad jokes. Hashtag can't stop, won't stop. Good to be back on Convert to Raid with you guys.
Hashtag can't stop, won't stop. I like
Right.
it. I like it. All right.
Right. I have to see all you people in 2 weeks.
I know this
It's gonna be
is the pre-party to the show, to the big show of BlizzCon. This is going to be great. Next week we'll have one more show, one more official show, and then for our number 200 show, we were talking about this before this show. The number 200 show will be us at BlizzCon live, probably, unless the spicy water has gotten us.
The other 51 weeks of the year, you guys are just horrible figments of my imagination.
Right.
That 1 week, all of my nightmares come true. They become reality.
And then we just make it horrible. Right? It's going to be the worst time ever.
I feel like this escalated quickly, Darius. Because I know
You told a joke
3 times, and already I'm a horrible figment of your imagination.
Well,
I don't feel good about how this is kicking off.
No, it'll be...
You can't start with a fortune cookie or a joke. It's I relapse. I go back into that. I can't.
Wow. We need to have some hugs. Some deep talks at BlizzCon.
This all starts with culturing.
I'll drag my wife's therapist couch down to Anaheim, and we can work some of this out.
That would be great. That'd be awesome. All right, let's talk about what we've been up to lately. And we're gonna go to Darius first. Darius, you were gone last week. You couldn't make it home from work, but now you're here. What have you been up to the last few weeks?
So I don't know if it was mentioned last week, but I know it was mentioned last week. I am no longer raiding. The Convert to Mythic has decided to take a break until Legion. So I haven't been raiding anything. I don't know why, but I still log in every morning and do my garrison stuff. But
it's just habit, right?
I don't. Yeah, it's like I don't know why I do it.
It's like, hey man, might as well. Let's get in there and make some gold. Let's go do some stuff. So,
and I can't cancel my subscription. I'm not going to cancel my subscription anyway, but I'm paid up until like 2017 because of tokens.
I heard that tokens were at an all-time high right now.
Yeah, they're real. They got real high.
Do you know how much they're going for?
The last I saw, they were like 60 or 70K in the EU.
Wow.
Which was super high. I mean, there's still like 2 or 300K in Asia.
What?
Yeah. Well, they've always been really, really high.
All right.
In Asia. But that's because it's different over there, the way they pay for the game.
Right. Right.
To be expected.
So you're doing your dailies, you're doing your thing.
Yeah.
You know. And that's cool. So now what was the reasoning behind postponing until Legion? Was it because I know that you guys didn't finish as far as Mythic goes, right?
Yeah, it was attrition. You know, we just kept losing people and we couldn't get more people. You know, it's just there's just nothing we could do. So instead of get frustrated week after week, we decided to kind of let people, if they wanted to raid, you know, maybe raid with other teams, because there are other teams in Convert to Raid that were looking to fill a few spots. So that worked out really well for them. Mm-hmm. You know, we allowed people to do that, or just whatever. I mean, these last couple weeks are the first time in like 6 years that I wasn't raiding. You know, I didn't raid at some point, and it felt kind of liberating.
I know what you mean. I mean, there were definitely some times when the Asparagus Initiative kind of just fell apart, and I was, you know, transitioning to the new very casual team that is good to the last drop, and I was just not doing anything, and it was kind of nice to take a break from raiding. Yeah. And then some stuff happened in real life, and now I haven't been able to make the team for a while. So I'm still
yeah. With my raiding schedule, I've always had raiding. No matter what team I'm on, I've always raided Sunday nights. It's just always been a thing for like the last probably 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
You know, Asparagus Initiative, and then before that, and even Convert to Mythic, we were Sunday nights. And now I had no raiding on Sunday nights, and I had no idea what to do, so I joined an Ultimate Frisbee League.
Nice.
It seemed like the correct response. I don't know.
Perfect answer.
Are you one of those guys that has like all the different frisbees now, and you have like?
No, I'm really bad at it.
You know which one you use for putting and which one you use for
that's disc golf. That's totally different.
Oh, right.
Don't group me with those people.
Right. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Good Lord, Pat. How dare you?
I apologize. I'm sorry. All right. Tattva, how about you? What have you been up to, bud?
Yeah, I mean, as far as like I was on the Convert to Mythic team too, so that was a shock. Getting all excited Thursday for raiding, and then all of a sudden everyone's just like, "Oh, we're not." And it's like, "Oh, what to do?" Anyways, but I've just been playing a lot of heroes. Not like I've been playing a fair bit, just doing the whole ladder thing, seeing if I can climb that ladder to rank 1 for the heck of it. I'm up to 7.
Wow!
So we'll see if we can get there.
Good.
Hey, congratulations on that one. I'll give you a big applause. Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's an interesting process because, like, as you're going through it, like, probably mid-teens, like 20 to 10 is extremely frustrating. And it's just crazy. Like, it's just craziness. There's like a lot of attitude in that range. But then as soon as you hit 10, it's the weirdest thing. Like the games get like the games calm down. People are playing like
civilized human beings.
What they're doing, and like people make mistakes, and it's not that big of a deal. And you know, you just play your games. And so it's like you hit that 10 level, and it's like, oh, sweet, this is kind of nice now. But 20 to 10, awful, completely awful.
Are you doing just like, are you grouping with 4 other people or?
Nope, just solo queue.
Wow, you are a brave soul.
Well, I mean, this is transitioning from like LOL days, so I have that bronze elo hell. Like, that's awful. That's way worse than
really
20 to 10. So whatever.
Oh.
But I mean, it exists in all MOBAs, so
sure.
It's just you have to get over that hump. As soon as you're over the hump, it's smooth sailing. But that hump is a nightmare.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you're over it. That's the important thing, right?
Woohoo!
Nice. Mick, how about you, buddy? What's been going on with you? I'm guessing you've been playing a lot of heroes and other stuffs.
Yeah, I've been playing a fair amount of heroes. I got an opportunity to be on Brawl with the Blues with Trixler and Dunk Train and Glaurong and Gillyweed about a week or so ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
So that was kind of fun. So we all jumped in there right after Morales, I think, debuted, and we played 5 or 6 games. And so it was fun to play with 2 of the best North American players in the world, and they move at a whole different speed than most of us do. I'll just say that.
No, you don't say.
It's a bit quick, Pat. The nonstop. I had the palm sweats for most of that.
Ooh, yeah.
Trying to keep up with what was going on and not look like a jerk. But that was a lot of fun. I have been doing some WoW. I'm kind of circling which potential main for Legion I might play. I tend to switch mains every expansion, so kind of figuring out which one I'm going to settle on. So I'm leveling up a couple of different alts at the same time and just kind of getting a feel for where I want to go.
Sure.
Because I don't feel like I want to dive right into the Demon Hunter pool with everyone else when the expansion hits. So I'm kind of circling a few different alts at this point, trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I'm not going to play Shaman this expansion for sure. So I'm going to play something different.
What were you playing in WoD?
I was playing Shaman, mostly Elemental, and it wasn't super fun. And so I think I might go back to Paladin. I think I might go back to Holy Paladin for a while. So looking at that.
I think Shaman has had some issues. I mean, Enhancement, I guess, was kind of the flavor of the expansion.
Sure.
But yeah, Ellie, and even I don't know if Resto had issues or not. I know Ellie had. It wasn't necessarily issues. It was just kind of there. It was just kind of there.
Yeah, it was just, it took a while to get, I think, the spec rolling. And even once it did, I was like, I don't know if this is what I want to do. And I played Paladin for a long time and stopped playing him for Mists, and then kind of missed melee a little bit, missed healing, and think I'll go back the Holy Paladin route. That seems to be where I'm leaning towards right now.
Gotcha. I just can't stay away from Druid and Hunter for some reason. I don't know, glutton for punishment, I guess.
You get the diversity with Druid a little bit. You almost can pick anything if you want to, and you get to dream.
I get to be really bad at every spec. That's the important thing.
Maybe I'll melee.
Hey, watch your mouth, Doug. Watch your mouth.
No, I'm saying I get to be bad. Not that you get to be bad, that I get to be bad. So as we were saying at the top of the show, BlizzCon is coming in 2 weeks. So excited about this. And today, before we get on with the Raiden news, we'll start with the BlizzCon news. And the big thing today was that the musical act was announced for the closing ceremonies for Saturday, and it is Linkin Park. No cheers from you guys. Are you happy about this? Are you indifferent? Are you? There were some people that were kind of like, oh well, whatever, but. Maybe it's more playtime for you for something else. Are you planning on going to the concert? Anybody?
That sounds like prime Overwatch playtime to me. You know what? Linkin Park is a fine band. I have no problems with them.
Right.
Hard to top Metallica for sure. Last year, I just kind of feel like don't really want to see them in concert, and I would much rather get some more reps on Overwatch if I don't get into the beta. So I want to spend some time doing that, and also hanging out with people is kind of more of a priority for me. I don't know about the other guys if they're. I'm just glad it's not Limp Bizkit, because that sad rumor was floating around as well. For a while.
I don't know. I mean, I was at the concert where Fred Durst kicked the security guard in the head. So Limp Bizkit would be great.
The memories.
Yeah, I actually did meet him at the time, but whatever. I mean, that's like whatever. Yeah, I Tattva, how about you? Linkin Park fan? Yeah, no.
I mean, well, I don't think my musical tastes would dictate me going to a concert at BlizzCon. I'm going to BlizzCon for different reasons. So kind of more interested in the games as well than
basically it's all classical music and like pentatonics and like acapella. I gotcha.
So wait a minute. So if Pentatonics came on and did like all the Blizzard soundtracks of their games,
I know several people that would be totally in on that one.
I think there would be, because you always see that when the band's announced. Somebody gets on Twitter, is like, I just long for the days when they let Russell Brower have that closing act to play all the beautiful music he's composed for us. That always happens every year.
That would be awesome.
Darius, are you going to be going to the concert?
No, I think I'm going to skip out. I mean, I have no interest in Linkin Park. The Metallica concert last year was great, but it really is an amazing time to go and do other things because everyone is at the concert. So, yeah, I couldn't care less.
Well, and I see this in the chat room. I am not dissing Pentatonics by any means. I think they're a fantastic group. They really are, and I know several people that would totally go to that concert if they were closing. So there. Yeah, I think that for me too. I mean, it's like, hey, I want to hang out with you guys. I want to hang out with other people that I meet only at BlizzCon once a year. Let's go do that. However, I am packing the good earplugs, the ones that actually let you hear the concert and not just like the foam ones that you shove in your head, you know. So I'm bringing them just in case, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know.
Just in case you're to the point of making bad decisions.
Right.
At that point.
Right.
Oh, he'll be way past that by Saturday. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I will be. I'll be ready to get the heck out of there. I'll be 3 sheets to the wind. So a couple of other things about BlizzCon, just so you guys know, the online merch store sales have started, so you can go to the gear store and pick up all your BlizzCon stuff over there. Anything that you want to get, it probably will arrive at your place after BlizzCon. But there you go. And also the virtual ticket hosts have been announced. Darius, who do we have for our virtual ticket hosts this year?
We have Michelle Morrow.
Mm-hmm. She hosted last year.
Yeah, hosted last year.
Yep.
And done a bunch of things. Alex Albright, which is from G4 and the Project Lore podcast. And Malik Forte, he's from Nerdist.com. And Will Wheaton.
Yes, or Malik Forte.
Is it? Oh, okay,
either way.
I don't.
But it seems like there's a strong Nerdist connection there. Even Will Wheaton. I mean, he was the college roommate of Chris Hardwick. So, but lots of Nerdist folks and G4, and that sounds pretty cool, right, Mick?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the big move here from last year is Jeff Keighley not taking the spot that he's had for the last couple of years, right. And Alex Albrecht jumping in there. I actually saw him at the America's Championship in Las Vegas for Heroes, and he was kind of like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna do it this year." So that was kind of cool to hear. And he's a guy who's super passionate about Blizzard games, and so I think that brings you another person in that spot up on stage that really has a pretty strong understanding of the games that Blizzard has out there and an actual real passion for it. Not that Jeff didn't, but there were always those kind of minor moments when it seemed like he didn't always know as much about the game as maybe his co-host did.
Right.
And Malik is obviously a big, Blizzard fan, big player.
Yep.
So it's going to be great to see him there. And I know that he plays all the games and loves all the games. And Will probably is the one that has the least experience playing Blizzard games himself, but seems to have, immersed himself in all things Blizzard over the past month or so. So
he really has.
I think it's good.
Well, I mean, he's been kind of blogging and tweeting about his game stuff that he's doing with Blizzard games. I mean, he's just starting out on Hearthstone and Heroes, but StarCraft. He was in on StarCraft before it was StarCraft 2 and stuff like that. So I mean, it's kind of cool to see that he's trying to jump into the fray and really embrace all of these games and try them out and see what he thinks and stuff like that. Because I mean, he's a busy guy, number one, and he does a lot of tabletop stuff. So there. Now, Tattva, what are you most excited to do when you get to BlizzCon? What do you think?
I think I'm probably just going to lose my mind. It's my first time going.
Oh, wow.
I'm just going to probably just stand at the entrance, like with these crazy big eyes, and you'll probably find me there the entire time.
Yeah.
And I probably won't move a foot.
Yeah.
Actually.
No,
Overwatch, just, it's going to be fun seeing all the tournaments. Like, that will be awesome. That's going to be so awesome.
That's going to be so cool. So looking forward to that. Mick, how about you? What are you looking forward to most?
Well, obviously, I think the thing to look forward to most is seeing all your friends that you play with in game in person that are going to be there. And, and for us, having a chance to make content and do shows and stuff, it's always great to meet people that listen or watch your shows and just get to, exchange high fives and hugs. And that's always like an awesome part of the event. I mean, that's really, I think for me, BlizzCon has become more of that than anything else. But in terms of actual stuff inside the con, I'm pretty excited, to check out what they're doing with this Dark Moon Fair, just to see what that is. But at the end of the day, it's going to be mostly Heroes Esports for me in terms of that tournament and what that is. And then trying, like I said, to get, if I don't get a chance to play the beta for Overwatch, to get as many reps in on those machines as I can, because that is a fun game to play for sure.
Dude, that's going to be so awesome. That's going to be so awesome. For the Dark Moon Fair, aren't they replicating the what is it, the Goat's Head Inn or something like that from Diablo 3? Is that what it's called? Something like that. I don't know.
Yes, it is it's exactly that. It's the inn from, I think, Tristram, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yep, the one from Tristram.
So that's definitely a thing. And then there's all these kinds of, some of the games that they had last year that were kind of spread around the shop area.
Mm-hmm.
They've got those kind of in there inside the Dark Moon Fair, like the gift photo booth and the 360-degree thing, and the capsule toy depot, like all that stuff's been kind of moved there, as well as the face painting and stuff like that. Slaughtered Calf Inn, that's what
Slaughtered Calf. I knew it was something with some kind of farm animal.
Yeah, and that crazy Blizzard pin trading thing is going to be jammed into that thing. And then I think the best thing of all, guys, is the fact they're moving that shop down to the bottom floor in Hall E, so that it doesn't kind of clog up a lot of the traffic lanes there on the floor. So that's going to be cool too.
And I think they're having the devs over there as well, like when you can meet the community managers and the devs and stuff. I think that's all going to be over in that area, so that's going to be pretty cool. Darius, what are you looking forward to for BlizzCon? I mean, other than, of course, seeing all of us and to ruin your weekend.
Mm-hmm. That's my favorite part. I'm excited. I love seeing what they do with the tournament stages. So like last year with the Hearthstone tournament stage, that was the way they did that up. The whole they kind of recreated an inn. And it was just so cool to sit there and watch the Hearthstone tournaments on that amazing stage. So I'm interested to see what they do with the Dark Moon Fair, and with the other stages they come up with.
Right. The StarCraft stage last year was out of control, amazing.
Yeah, was it?
Oh yeah.
I wasn't there. I couldn't make it.
Did you go to it last year, Darius? Did you check it out?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's the production value that go into just the stages and the enjoyment of the people watching is so good. It's just so high.
Right.
You can't see it replicated anywhere else. I mean, they used a lot of projection technology to basically take the major presentation screen and they would morph it into other things using about 80 projectors to make it happen.
Really?
So when you had the two players on either side, and then when one was playing Zerg, like the entire screen outline, not the screen itself, but everything around it, the framing shifted and changed into these motion graphics that were fleshy and gross and Zergy. And if it was Terran, it was all cogs and wheels and steam. And then, if they played on a particular map, there would be a whole overlay at the bottom of it for that. I mean, it was just insane what they did with that last year. So if they top themselves this year, it'll be out of control.
Right. And I think that's probably the thing that I'm looking to dive into the most for this BlizzCon, is to really soak in the esports stuff. I think a lot of the panels, while the World of Warcraft panel comes first in the main hall right after the keynote, right? And so I'm gonna stick around for that for sure. See what's going on with WoW. And then I'm probably just going to dive right into esports and probably stay there all weekend, because that seems like it's going to be an exciting time. And I don't think that watching it on the virtual ticket will really tell you what it's like in person at all. It's kind of like going to a football game versus watching it on TV. Sure, you can yell at the TV, but I don't know.
I really want to see how I really think the best thing they had all of last BlizzCon, like forget Overwatch, forget everything else, were the giant realistic Hearthstone mugs that they had on the Hearthstone tournament stage.
Oh.
They're just giant,
Nice.
just like, they were so cool looking. You just wanted to like grab one and just drink mead from it. It just, I can't wait to see what they do this year.
Mead is so good. All right. I'm sure that we'll be talking more about BlizzCon as for next show and maybe throughout this show as well. But for now, we need to move on to the rating news.
Calling all raiders from around World of Warcraft land. This is rating news.
All right, it's time to go into the rating news. Hold on 1 second. I don't know what the heck is it. There it is. I finally got the camera working. Sorry, guys, on the audio show. All right, it's time to check out what's happening with the news for raiders around the World of Warcraft. And first up, something happened pretty much directly after we recorded the show last week on Wednesday morning. Before I could even get the show up, Blizzard made a fairly large an unexpected announcement about patch 6.2.3. What? And it's going to actually address some of the concerns we were talking about last week. In this patch, you can expect certain things. Arena Season 3. Right? Something happened. All right. Oh, you guys there?
Yeah, we're all here.
Okay, good. Had a little glitch on my end. We'll have to deal with that in a second. All right. So we'll have Arena Season 3, which is great. We'll have new Timewalking dungeons, which is awesome. And this time we are going to Cataclysm. Isn't that right, Darius?
Yeah, we're going to see Grim Batol, Stone Core, Tol'vir, Vortex Pinnacle, Throne of Tides, and End Time. I think that's all of them.
So, is it?
I think so.
Really?
Maybe. I don't know. That was
Weird.
an eternity ago. So I can't remember. But those are the ones that stick out in my mind.
Mick,
so.
do you think that we're going to have the 14-hour Grim Batols that we used to have?
God, I hope not. Yeah, that was the first one out of the gate that I was like, oh no, Tall's in there. The other ones I'm pretty okay with. I mean, this was really when the trend happened where it was like, and now we bring you back really long dungeons to do.
Yeah.
Don't you miss this, guys, with CC? And these were, I love the fact that folks now are fairly nostalgic for them, but at the time, there was a fair amount of complaining that was taking place with the length of these.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be interested to see if they've somehow figured out a way to maybe make the trash a little bit quicker to get through some of this stuff. But these were, I mean, it would take you an hour and a half sometimes to run Grim Batal.
Right.
That's a long dungeon to run.
No, I remember 2-hour runs and stuff like that. Tattva, you might have to make some videos.
Ruh-roh.
I'm just saying, line of sight, guys. Give me the scoop on what I need to do for these things. Are you excited about these new dungeons there, Tattva?
Yeah, I mean, that's as far as like their weekends go, like they're doing these themed weekends with Apexis crystals or Honor or whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
The Timewalking is by far the coolest one, and I wish that they would actually do that every weekend and then like intersperse the other stuff into like midweek stuff or something like that. But
Monday through whatever, you can do whatever the heck you want, but give me the weekends, man.
Yeah, I mean, the dungeons are awesome, and it's just like, nostalgia. Like everyone's ran those things. For the people who haven't, it's a cool new experience or whatever. But I don't know. I think it's just a fun thing. I mean, I'm gonna be playing Heroes, but whatever. I don't know.
Well, they also introduced like Pit of Sauron, and they also did Magister's Terrace, which is cool. Those are new added ones for patch 6.2.3. So that's awesome.
Gotta get that white peacock.
And also you can have a chance to loot a rare infinite Time Reaver mount, which looks pretty badass. So there's
the mount nerds are out in force for that mount for sure.
Oh yeah. It looks pretty sweet. It's actually it's modeled after the last boss in, which one was it? End Time? The End Time? One of the bosses of that, I think. So it's cool. It's very cool. And confirmed by Kyvax earlier today, this is going to be a personal loot roll. So don't worry about it, nerds. We're all going to get our chance. Don't rage. Please. So let's see. What else?
I feel like Tattva's sentiment right there, where hey, we're gonna get all these dungeons, but I'm gonna be playing Heroes, is kind of what I'm hearing from everybody else too. It's like, hey, Blizzard, thanks for all this stuff, but it's a little bit too late.
Is it too late? Is it too late, Darius? Is it kind of a little late? Does it feel late to you?
Yeah, it feels way late. This feels like a grasp for attention to get people to pay attention to WoW again.
Sure.
And it also feels like this is a way of saying, hey, here's a bunch of stuff to get you to look at us and play the game for the next 6 to 8 months while you wait for the expansion.
It's kind of tough because we don't even have a beta or anything to look at, and we know how long betas go. They go for months. I mean, we're talking like 5-6 months, right, Mick?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a long time. Maybe we don't know. I mean, unless this is supposedly an expansion they've been working on for 3 years. So is it maybe further along than others in the past? I don't really know. Right. I do think that this whole patch is about perspective, right? If you're from the perspective of my love for this expansion is totally waned, then this feels like a little bit of a desperation move on Blizzard's part. But if you're somebody who is, still invested, then this is something else to do. Right. I do like the idea, though, that I would hope that this would be some kind of trend, that Blizzard would start using these micro patches after the last quote unquote big content batch comes out to give some little things, to eke out the time and make it not quite as so just this dearth of nothing happening, which is what they've traditionally done. It's like, here's your last raid. See you in a year and a half for the next expansion. I would rather them try and do something, not shove a ham-handed crappy raid in there, but just little things here and there to keep folks invested, I think is good for the overall health of or at least good for some players who want to still have something to do. And for them, WoW is still a lifestyle game where they're logging in and they're looking for where their value point is going to be at this point.
Well, and I have this question. I know that I have this question kind of all over this patch, and the question is, for those guys that feel like this may be a little bit late, does it feel like Blizzard has been super reactionary this expansion just in general? Like they've I mean, with the flying thing and with now we have, we'll talk about the Moose Mount here in a little bit, but we have the Moose Mount, we have all these new, time walking dungeons, and kind of like, hey, hey, over here, we're doing flying now. Because we said we weren't, but now we're going to do it. Fine, we'll do it. And then, something else. It just seems like it's very reactionary and not really super structured and not very set out front in front of the folks so that they knew what they were working toward. Tattva, do you have an opinion on what you see for this?
I mean, as far as like what Blizzard's doing, I mean, there's going to be people on both sides of the argument saying that, they're just trying anything they can to keep attention and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, something that people want is for Blizzard to listen to them. And like, that's not a bad thing. If like the community is pretty much all behind a certain idea, why not? Like, I mean, it's not that big of a deal as far as like, I mean, and I think it's actually a positive thing to be able to like listen to your audience, and if there is something that they don't agree with, and it's in your power to fix it, do it. It's not
right.
I mean, it's just going to help you out. But
do you feel like the either the communication wasn't there with the players in the beginning, saying, "Hey, we're going to be doing this, and we plan on moving this direction," and kind of like, "Hey, steady forward," instead of like kind of jumping around trying to grab our attention? Because that's kind of what it feels like for some people, anyway. Feels like they're just trying to jump around and say, "Hey, over here, we're WoW,"
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that at all? I mean, does it feel like that for you, or are you just kind of happy that they're reacting anyway?
Yeah, and I think it's a good thing that they're reacting in certain areas, and like, I mean, in the end, they do have a vision for what they want their game to be and stuff, and they're moving in that direction. And as far as like the patches or this patch reintroducing Valor and all that stuff, like there's been a lot of, like, I just looking down the comments of the patch page, it seems like a lot of people are happy with everything.
Yeah. I'm not saying that people aren't happy with the results. I'm not saying that at all, because I know that there are several people that are really happy about everything that they announced, and they're ecstatic to kind of looking forward to Legion, especially, and moving forward. So that's good.
I mean, it probably was just a goal of theirs to try to pay more attention to the community and be more involved. And that's,
right.
Maybe that was just a decision that they made, and then they were just testing it out, see how it works and stuff as far as the development of the game goes.
Sure. Mick, did you see any kind of disconnect, or are you just seeing this kind of all being kind of a happy thing for WoW in general, just to be able to provide this stuff for their players?
I'm trying to look at it as a positive because I think that was a response, like Tattva said. I mean, the overwhelming response within the forum posts, or at least in the comments below the post, was, yay, awesome. Especially a lot of folks commenting on Valor coming back in some way, shape, or form. And they really, for some reason, really excited about the fact that that's back in the game. So like I said, any minimal content. I mean, let's be honest. In a lot of ways, this patch even has more content than 6.1 had. So it's okay for them to give you micro patches with a little bit of content here and there more frequently than these kind of, like I said, these long gaps where there's nothing. And so I think overall it's good because I think the players are responding positively towards it.
And I do think you have to look towards Legion and say, okay, if we can continue moving in this direction, no matter what happened during this expansion that people didn't agree with, as long as we can keep this kind of similar thing moving forward, the similar idea that with flying, building toward that, now that we have that kind of under control, and these other things just kind of building towards Legion and being able to provide people with new stuff and stuff like that, that's great. That's awesome. So, I don't know. Was there anything else? Anybody else have anything to say? Darius, you're looking around like you have something to say.
No, I'll bite my tongue on this one.
And I know that this comes probably 2 weeks after the team kind of decided to take a break. So a lot of this stuff is kind of like, I can't do anything about it, really. Right? Is that it?
No, it's just, I mean, I already said it. It feels like a grab for attention. Yeah, and I'm kind of getting frustrated with Blizzard promising one thing and then not delivering, and then doing something like this where they're like, well, we told you we were going to do this and we didn't, but here's something else to maybe tide you over, and forget about the fact that we lied, about all these other things, or we told you one thing and didn't do did something different. I mean, it's just,
I don't know if you can, I don't know if you can say, you can't, I don't think you can say lied with a straight face, because part of the development process is to air out some things that people want to do, right? Developers want to do this. Like the flying thing took way too long, but developers wanted to do it and they provided it in the end. And there are other things that just don't work out in the development process. So it wasn't necessarily that they were not being truthful. It's just that they were being hopeful, and then they had to be realistic at some point.
I think they need to better manage their expectations then for us. Like they need to so stop promising things, or stop giving us so much information. Maybe, stop so early in the development cycle saying this is what we're going to do. And then 6 months from then it completely changes and half of what they said isn't there anymore, or, has changed. I mean, we still don't have a dance studio. So,
oh boy,
but I think you're right, though. I think that's what they're exactly saying publicly that they're going to do. They're going to stop talking about the game in development. They're going to focus more on the current content that's out when they do decide to talk about it on Twitter or on the forums. And that has been the public message since Legion was announced, was we're not going to talk that much about Legion until there's something for you to take a look at, whether that's beta, whether that's actual live game. Regardless, I think we'll see some new feature stuff when we go to BlizzCon in some of those panels. Like, here's what professions are kind of looking like now, that we have this huge team devoted to them. But I think overall, we're going to see less from them about what is coming, because they got themselves into some trouble with this expansion and really pissed some people off. And a lot of folks either did, Pat, to be fair, whether or not they lied or not, people feel lied to, or people feel like, promises were not made good on. And they've got some damage control to do.
Oh, that's for sure. That is absolutely for sure. And I think that, Darius, your point of view is reflected in our community. Definitely. That is, I'm not saying that people aren't feeling like that. And Blizzard definitely does have a lot to do. And they've been pretty, they've been talking a lot about what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Like saying, oh man, if we talk about the stuff that we want to do and we can't make it happen, then we're liars. And if we talk about so, at some point we just say, okay, let's just not talk, which sucks when you're a podcaster and you're looking for information. You want to be able to hype up the whatever, you want to be able to have some news. And it sounds like they might be kind of tightening that up a little bit. And that's kind of, from my aspect, that's a little bit sad. So but that's selfish.
It's a really tough situation because when the content comes out, when actual content comes out, it's really good. The selfie cam was amazing.
It was great.
So, but we're in this situation now where we're used to getting tons of information and now we're not getting anything. So now it feels like, and I know this isn't the case, but this is what it feels like, is that WoW is dying and Blizzard doesn't care. And I know that's not the case. I know they care. I know they're working on Legion and they're following through with this whole, we're not going to tell you a whole bunch. We're going to release it when it's ready and we're going to go back to the way things were. But when you for years, when you just, drip feed us all this information and, we're disappointed when it comes out or things a little bit different, but now you just totally cut it off. It's like, well, you don't care anymore. And you look at all the resources they're devoting to heroes and everything else. And I know those are separate teams and whatnot. And you're like, well, you don't you care about those because they're making you all the money. And that's just what I know what the reality is, but I also know what it feels like.
Yeah.
And it's a tough situation.
Yeah, it is. It is a tough situation. And I think we've got some growing pains with those other games in the mix. And WoW is kind of maybe feeling, for a lot of people, and I think that this kind of rings true throughout the community, for a lot of people, those other games are drawing them away from WoW, and who knows what's going on. I mean, Tattva, you've said that you won't be doing those Timewalking dungeons because you're going to be playing Heroes.
Well,
or StarCraft 2 when it comes out, the new patch.
Yeah, I'll be upgrading my items and stuff. So I mean, just like any raider, any person that enjoys WoW, enjoys raiding, enjoys the game, they are going to come back and they are going to do these dungeons because they can upgrade their gear. Like, it's as simple as that. They will do it because it's built into them that's what they have to do. Like, to be ready for Legion, I need the best gear possible so I can level fast and blah, blah, blah. And so, I mean, I'm going to be doing it just like everybody else. And so...
Yep. Well, getting back to the notes as Darius tries to grab a bug or something. I don't know. Anyway, we have a couple more things to talk about because we have expanding eye levels in drops in Mythic Dungeons in Tanan Jungle up to a possible eye level of 725 for Mythic Dungeons, and also a chance for an heirloom trinket that levels up to that goes with you to level 110. So they're already doing the trinket and stuff like that. Now with Siege of Orgrimmar, did they had the weapon, the heirloom weapon, like right away, right? They said that right away. It was right when when Siege of Orgrimmar released, they said, oh yep, and at the end here's an heirloom weapon, right?
Yeah. It was when you killed Gary, you got the weapon, and then they modified it later on so you were guaranteed a weapon on like your first kill or something like that.
Yeah, because it was pretty random, wasn't it?
Yeah,
for the first little bit, and then they kind of cinched it up a little bit so that everybody could get a weapon. So, and again, to me it feels like it was a little bit of an oopsie or maybe a here you go. I'm not sure exactly which way it goes. Oops, we forgot. Oh, heirloom trinket. Or here you go, heirloom trinket. You decide, right, Mick?
Yeah, I mean, it is that. I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's like, here's a thing to go hunt for and to do the content, to be motivated to do it. And that's the game, right? It's like, there's that thing I want, so I have to go into that thing to get it. And that's the game itself. Yeah. I think it's, I don't know. I'm always underwhelmed when things are trinkets. Like, oh, so it's like super awesome when it's a weapon, right? You're like, my God, a cool axe, yay! So yeah, I mean, I think that this is nice to see that's there. I think a lot of players will be motivated to go into the content to do it, or maybe even to have just kind of given up to come back and be like, well, yeah, but I kind of want that trinket, so maybe I'll actually go back in and start playing a little bit.
Huh, cool.
Yeah, I think people will go back in to get the mount. to get their item level upgrades, to get the trinket. I mean, it can't be a weapon this time because of the artifact weapons.
Right.
Like,
there's no
it
weapon.
can't be.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You're
so
right.
it can't be.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, it will draw people back in, which is cool, you know. But I mean, that the thing is like at the end of every expansion, it seems like this happens. They just kind of like start funneling gear to players to prep them for the next expansion. It happens every time, and everyone's always. It seems like a lot of people are like, "What's going on?" at the end of an expansion when they start feeding you stuff, but it just always happens, you know.
Right.
And it's just part of the prep. Getting people to see more content, getting people hyped, like, oh, sweet, I have some actual cool gear. That's awesome.
Right.
Thanks.
And and gear is always good because everybody loves gear. They also love mounts, including the Moose Mount. The Moose Mount was announced, and it's going to be for a limited time only. So they're going to retire the actual thing before Legion. But basically, if you defeat Archimond in heroic and mythic difficulty, you players will be rewarded with a mysterious fragment of dark power that begins a quest to Moonglade, which ends up with a Moose Mount. And there are a lot of people that are kind of upset with this, because they're normal raiders. And now now we start talking about casuals versus hardcore, which is really tough. We talk about normals versus heroic versus mythic, and people start getting angry about this type of thing when they have a cool mount, they have a quest line with some story behind it where you find out more about Legion, and Twitter exploded, I think, when I saw this. Mick, what are your thoughts on this one? Darius, I'll swing back to you. Don't worry about it.
Who says I have an opinion on it?
I'm sure you do.
As the redness fumes up and the steam comes out of his ears. No, I think that look, they have always taken a really cool mount and they've always put it behind the most difficult thing to do in the game.
Right.
That's what they do. I
Sure.
mean, I know it's not fun, and there was a time where that was actually different, where you could run normals and get that cool mount. But that's not the case anymore, and it hasn't been the case for a very long time. To me, this is another case of that. I mean, I know that there's a mount that drops off Archimond. It's the Fellsteel Annihilator, isn't that it? So I mean, there's already a mount there, but then this is another mount that they're just kind of putting behind that content. But what this is going to ultimately do is it's going to, for guilds that are already running this on servers and they have this on farm, and they will have it on farm in the next couple months at least. This will give them that opportunity to start, reaching out to other players on their server and saying, hey, we're going to sell, for gold runs through to get your Grove mount. And that's ultimately been something that has just been happening for a while. And that's just part of what happens at the end of an expansion. I know that folks are upset about it and are like, why is that so far beyond my reach?
Right.
But the reality is that in 2 to 3 months, it might not be that far beyond your reach.
That's true. That is true. So you just got to be patient and kind of deal with it. But I know that a lot of people, like a lot of people that do normals only, they are either angry or depressed. They're like, oh, I've already given up on it. I won't get the Moose Mount. And that's tough. That's tough. And Tattva, but this is a new mount. Like Mick said, we already have a mount behind Archimond, right? Is that Mythic? Mythic only?
Yeah, Mythic. Yeah, it's basically Fell Reaver is what you're driving around.
Oh, that's so awesome. But this is like the first time that they've introduced a mount and then gated it, like midway through a raid, right? Is that correct? I'm not sure.
Yeah, probably. Like in this sense, I mean, like what Mick was saying, like there's always been that, awesome mount behind the hardest thing. Like a lot of times there's been, the Lich King had his mount, whatever, Archimond has his mount. Like, I mean, they're all there. And then besides that, there's always seems to have been the achievement mount, which also involves mythic kills a lot of times.
Right.
I mean, you have to beat the bosses in a certain way, but then on top of that, you have to kill the mythic bosses, which is kind of crazy. But I mean, I don't know. It's an awesome mount, and if people want it, it's there for them to get. Like the tools are there. Like just as far as like the group finder and stuff like that, and people will start. Like I mean, they'll just be available, and especially like a lot of community people. Like I've seen those same like heroic kills every single week hosted by this one dude. I've led, you know, this many pug raids of this boss, but actually have been like inviting lower item level people. Like there's that, I can't remember what his name is, but I've seen at least one, if not more than that. And so like get in on there on Tuesday, and there's going to be opportunities for, you know, there's going to be people who want to help others get this thing. And so just get on, sign up, and, you know, just look around. You're going to find a heroic kill if you want it. You will find it.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yep. Yeah. But it might cost you some gold.
Yeah, but it also forces you to kind of get to know your community on your server a little bit too, right? Like, who are the guilds that are doing this? You know, who can I get in there? And in that kind of forces players that want this to do this. And I know a lot of folks want it for some reason to be easy, or just make it $25 off of the store. But you know, I think there's still something to the fact that some of the best stuff should be hard to get.
Sure. And there's no, you won't get an argument from me about that stuff. Darius, what is your thought on this mount? That's the only question I'm going to ask you. I'm just ready. I'm just anticipating.
First off, I want to say that I think I'm the only person that sees this. When I see Archimon, I think of ice cream, because I think of it like in my head. I see a la mode, and then I think ice cream. So when I think of Archimon, I think of ice cream, which goes pretty well with mooses because it's cold in Canada.
Right.
So that works.
Right.
Okay. So I love the idea. I don't know if I've said this before, of something being only available to maybe a heroic or a mythic raider, just someone that like something to strive for. And I think I agree with what the other two guys are saying, especially Tattva. There's going to be a way to get this. You're going to have to grind for it. You're going to have to raid. And there are so many mounts in this game where that's the case. Just look at the Raven mount that drops in one of the Burning Crusade dungeons. It's a super rare mount. You have to grind it over and over again. And yeah, that's a really easy dungeon, but you're still doing something every week, every day to get this thing. In this case, you're going to be running heroic or normal, you know, maybe normals to get some gear, then get the Valor and upgrade your gear, and then get into heroics and run those, and you're going to be running them over and over again to try to get this mount. And it's going to be the same way with the way gear is going to work at the end of this expansion, and the fact that you can upgrade all of your items another 10 eye levels. Heroic Archimon isn't going to be that difficult if this is something you really want. Right. And I think this is exactly what this game needs. It needs more of these carrots on the stick to push people further into raiding, to push people further if they want these things. But as I've said before, people need to be honest with themselves too. And you know, if they don't have the time or they don't have the resources to devote to get this mount, you know, to raid the 4, 5, 6 hours a week that it takes, then maybe they shouldn't go for this mount. And I don't think Blizzard should hand it to them.
Well, and I agree with you on many different levels on your point there as well. And at least when you take a look at putting the moose mount behind heroic and mythic kills of Archimon, you also say, well, they're also giving you the tools, because remember, you're going to get those expanded eye levels. You're going to be able to do other things that we're going to talk about here shortly with Valor. Valor's coming back. And we'll get into that in just a second. Actually, we'll do that now. Sure. Why not? So Valor is actually going to be returning, and there's not going to be a cap for Valor. However, Valor will be available only in heroic and mythic dungeons, various bonus events, and via the first run through Raid Finder every week. So it's only in those different places. So you're going to run out of places to get Valor every week. But you're going to be able to earn it. And then you can upgrade your piece by up to 10 item levels per piece, which is great. So you're going to have your 725 pieces. You're going to have your upgrade, so it'll be 735, you know, and this is going to be, we're going to be here a while, folks.
Yeah.
That's it. We're going to be here a while. So you can even on a fairly casual schedule, you should be able to up your gear by your eye level by quite a bit before the end of the expansion. So there's
Does
still
that apply to the ring?
Ooh. I don't know. That's a good question.
Because I'm about to hit 790 on my legendary.
They don't necessarily. Well, maybe. I mean,
That'd be 800.
oof.
Ooh.
Oof.
Ooh.
That sounds sexy right there. But this is kind of cool, right, guys? I mean, Valor's returning. They're trying to figure out a way to make dungeons relevant again. And is this the way to do it? Is this the right way to do it? We kind of talked about this a little bit, well, off and on throughout the show. But Mick, what are your thoughts on Valor returning?
Well, time and time again in this expansion, especially early on, I kept hearing players say, "There's no reason for me to run these dungeons anymore."
Right.
Not like the old days when we had Valor. And so, I think that this also helped fill in the gaps a lot of times for players that wanted to, they kind of got all the gear that they needed to get off of this particular raid at this difficulty they were playing at. But now I can go in, I can grind out some dungeons, I can get some Valor, I can do LFR, and I can upgrade my weapons to an even higher eye level. How awesome is that? That's another thing for me to do, and Phil will continue to stay motivated about playing and logging in on a regular basis. And so I personally feel like there's no reason for Valor to go away. That's just my feel. I feel like this is them backtracking and saying, "Hey, we made a mistake, and we're going to fix it." And I know that's my personal opinion. Of course, this goes against this whole idea of, "Hey, we're going to simplify currency." That has really never happened.
Right.
But at the same time, once again, this patch is all about giving folks more things to do, more motivation to continue to keep playing, and that can't be necessarily a bad thing.
Right. Darius, let's move to you. What do you think about Valor, the way that they've laid it out here? Do you like what you see? Does this, get you motivated for Legion a little bit more? Does this make you, more excited about, being able to do dungeons in Legion?
No. Valor, the Valor, that raid currency, whatever you want to call it, at the end of the day, has been ruined for me, I guess you could say. My memory of it, what it stands for, the upgrading of the gear, it's forever tainted. So bringing it back, it almost angers me personally. Like they're insulting me personally.
That is the goal, I've heard, by the way, in the meetings at Blizzard. They sit around a conference table like, "All right, next item on the agenda, how do we piss off Darius from..."
I know,
right?
I've seen those meeting notes.
Let's spend an hour on this like we did last week. Okay, go.
Right.
I love the idea of the mount and maybe some way of enticing players to get people back into raiding, or maybe doing harder raiding. But I don't know if Valor and upgrading gear is the right way to do it. I don't, I kind of like the idea of the ring. You kill a boss and you get something to upgrade your item. That kind of works. It helps you move on. Maybe you kill the first wing boss and you get an item that upgrades a piece. I don't know. I just don't like the idea of the Valor thing. Maybe there's got to be something else there. But just saying, here's some Valor, go upgrade your gear. It just doesn't work for me anymore. I want something else.
Well, but what else would work? I mean, I don't know. I guess. As far as like a regular
Blizzard to figure out,
as far as a regular payout to folks for participating, because it's not going to necessarily be gold and Apexis crystals. That will not hold throughout an expansion. It will not hold past leveling up for some people. And even mythic dungeons are not necessarily going to hold people for forever. Tattva, ideas, thoughts on Valor? Anything?
Well, as far as Valor goes, it does get you into the dungeons. It will get me into the dungeons. It will get everyone who's even thinking about taking a break back in there to at least do the WoW chores to prepare for Legion. It's going to work. But as far as it just being the item level, I did like Valor back in the day, and I think it'd be a cool thing if they made it a more robust system where, the power is in the player's hands. You go, you earn these points, and you can spend them on what you want, whether it's gear upgrades, whether it's mounts. The problem, one of the problems right now, though, is it seems like there's vendors everywhere and all sorts of currencies, like Mick mentioned
Right.
earlier about simplifying that whole thing. It's just like they should just have like one vendor with all the cool stuff,
That'd be
item upgrades, everything. It'd make it so much easier, and you'd actually know about it. Like half the stuff that's in the game right now, I'm probably not even aware of stuff I could spend my Apexis crystals on or gold on or whatever else. Like there's vendors all over the garrison. There's vendors all over in Ashran. It's just it's craziness. But
and not to mention, they usually, whenever there's another patch, they're like, here's a coin that drops off a thing that gets you this kind of, for me, the currency system has just gone haywire since Cataclysm. It's continued to get worse and worse.
Well, even in Cataclysm, it was pretty bad. I mean, it wasn't the best. And as this game grows, that is going to be one of those growing problems that I think everybody's going to be faced with. And I don't know what you do, man, because that seems, I mean,
well, you could simplify the entire system by just assigning everything a value, as far as whether it's going out, crafting this piece of gear, or killing this dungeon, or clearing this dungeon out, killing this boss, doing it on heroic, doing it on mythic, just assigning a value for this one thing. You know, pick however you want to earn this stuff, and then you can go spend it. You know, whether it's raiding, whether it's pet battles, or coming up with the sickest dance in the dance studio, or just whatever it is. But I mean, just giving,
or maybe like one thing for gear, one thing for like all gear, one thing for gear, one thing for I don't know, like flasks and stuff like that, and food and whatever, and then one thing for upgrades. I don't know.
I mean that's already 3 things right there.
Yeah, but that's only 3 things. It's not 25 things for one expansion. Which,
I think really they could assign a single value, like time equals currency. Like that's what it is. And so figure out how long people have to spend to level so many pets up to 25, and you can balance it across the board, whether, people play the game for PvP, people play the game for raiding, people play it just to hang out in their garrison like Darius and do all his garrison missions like he loves to do so much. And I mean, that might be too simple, but it just seems like it's gone crazy.
Level your pet up to 25 and you can get a mythic piece of gear. It seems weird, but yeah.
I mean, like the game's the game, and it just makes it more accessible. That like if someone literally does not have the time to be able to join a mythic raiding team and invest all that time, or just doesn't have the schedule but still has the time to play, and if that's a way that they can earn that gear, it's going to take them forever doing it that way probably.
Sure.
Why not give it to them? If they spend the time, invest it, like that's cool. Like, I mean, and then maybe they get an opportunity to raid later and they're actually prepared for it. I don't know.
You guys in on this one currency standard?
I know I am. I think that he's completely right. I think this idea that there has to be a separate currency for every friggin' doodad thing that you have to do. I mean, even cooking has a currency, for crying out loud. It's unnecessary. I mean, the reality is he's completely right. You can assign a value. You can come up with a system. If there's going to be a PvP currency, there's going to be a PvE currency, and then there's going to be gold. And I think that that's really all that we need. And this idea that like, well, you devalue the gear that you could buy with the PvE currency when the next patch comes out. I don't care. We're already moving. We're already moving on at that point. Like, I don't care.
At that point, it doesn't matter.
I know.
If I'm pushing myself as a raider and I'm doing PvE in-game content, then I'm in the moment of that, and I know what I have to do to get that next upgrade to be able to perform in that next raid night. Yeah. So I don't care. I shouldn't care that the guy behind me can now buy that thing that I paid 800 badges for. He can now buy for 400 badges 6 months later. Why do I care about that? I just need what's set in front of me. So this idea that everything has to have this next new fun who's it's of the what's a crystal magic thing that I have to get to be able to buy the helmet I need. I mean, this is all BS. Just make it one thing and be done with it.
To be fair, the who's it's of the what's it's crystal is an amazing piece of lore.
Look, I know that the guy who designs the icon artwork for this crap has got to feed his kids. I get it. But we can come up with a different job for that guy.
He just took the crystal from the last expansion and then colored it for this expansion. That's all he did. No, that's not all he
don't
did.
belittle
That's not
what
all he
Walter
did.
does,
No,
okay?
no.
That's his life.
No, they do much more than that. I know that they do much more than that.
That's how we pissed off the art department.
And now they never want to speak to us again. Ah, boy.
Take those press pageants away from those guys.
Well, so there you have it. One currency to rule them all. That's what we come up with when you talk about Valor. I saw this in the chat room, by the way. People were talking about the no cap on Valor. I said that there wouldn't be any cap on Valor. That does not mean that there is not a maximum Valor you can achieve each week, that you can get each week. It's just you run out of stuff to do, right? So they said, I think what they said was that Mythic Dungeons would provide the most Valor, at least this is the way it read. Mythic would provide the most. Mythic Dungeons would provide the most Valor, then LFR, then Heroic Dungeons. So,
which I think is the right order.
Yeah.
Too, because like Mythic Dungeons are harder than LFR, and at this point, like LFR in rating, that's basically an oxymoron. That's not. It's complete casual mode at this point. So to try to say that that's harder than Mythic Dungeons, I think is out of the question.
Right.
At this point, and yeah, I mean that's just how it is. But they did say it's Mythic, LFR, Heroic, and you get Valor on your first run of like Raid Finder and your first Mythic Dungeon of the day. So you can't chain them. You're not going to be able to run them over and over again.
Right. So, and I'm sure that more will be explained when we get to BlizzCon, or actually as this patch kind of goes through the process on PTR and all that kind of stuff. So, be looking for that soon. It's on the PTR actually now. And Tattva, also in the chat room, they said that right now on the PTR, you cannot upgrade your legendary ring.
Makes me very, very sad.
I know, you'll be stuck at 790 forever.
No, I'll just start upgrading my tank ring, and then my boomkin ring, and then whatever.
Right on. Now, what do you think about this piece of news? We got this from MMO Champion, that Battle.net might be getting voice chat. Maybe. Who knows? An upcoming build has references to Vivix, a company that produces voice chat for games. Now, this is possibly nothing. This is possibly voice chat, though. Do you think that Blizzard is going down the road of, hey, let's give voice chat another try? Darius, what do you think?
You guys don't use the built-in WoW chat?
I know, it's there.
Rating and everything?
It's there. It's still there. Nobody uses it.
No. I feel like they've hinted at this before. They've said this before, that they were going to add it or trying to add it. I could be totally making that up. So this wasn't a shock to me when someone, pulled a codec out or something like that. If they're working on it, it's probably in there in the back end, and it's fine. I mean, they've got to try to do something. Everything else has its own voice chat. So
yep.
If they want Battle.net to be this ubiquitous thing again across all their games, and they got to keep people in that ecosystem, they got to have voice chat.
Yeah, and there are many new games to pick from, and especially with the announcement of Overwatch coming out, I mean, that's going to be yet another thing that people will want voice chat for. Tattva, is this the main reason why, you think?
Overwatch, Heroes, both those games, this will be excellent for. Like, it will be very important and make the whole scene more competitive. It just will. Like, I don't know if any of you guys have played with, I think Smite, League of Legends, and maybe Dota, they have that curse voice thing.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever experienced that at all?
No.
Anyways, I've
used it.
It's spectacular. Like, you just sign up into your curse voice, you join a game of Smite, join a game of League of Legends, and as long as it's enabled, you instantly join voice chat with these other 4 super aggressive people that yell at you nonstop. But
there's the full problem with this in the first.
But I mean,
that's exactly what I wanted to.
I mean,
what I want is some 14-year-old telling me what a dip crap I am in the middle of the game.
But I mean, like, it actually has been really good. Like, my experience with it in Smite has been excellent, and it's actually kind of funny. Like, if you go and play Smite, people are actually aggressive if you're not in it. Like if you're not in the voice chat, and the chat lobby just goes crazy. So and so's not in it. You better get in it right now. Otherwise, I'm going to throw the game. And it's like, oh my gosh, whatever.
But the nerd rage is crystal clear. That's what you're saying, right?
Oh yeah, it's crystal clear.
Awesome.
But my actual experience with it though in Smite has been positive. It just allows you to communicate. These games, you have to communicate if you want to excel, I guess, or have a better chance of winning the match. A team with voice is going to beat a team without voice 9 times out of 10, probably.
Sure.
Unless the other team is just, little prodigies or something. Anyways, but
sure. Well, and I guess, Mick, one of the things would be strategy, right? I mean, that's going to be the biggest thing, especially when you're doing like Hero League, when you're actually going through the selection process, or during Overwatch when you're trying to decide exactly what your strat's going to be on the fly, and typing sucks, right? So
this is Overwatch that's motivating this. If this is a real thing, it really is Overwatch that's pushing this, because if it was a Heroes thing, it would already be there. And the reality is I think that for first-person shooters, this is pretty common. So you really do need to have that kind of verbal communication, because the game moves so quick, you don't have time to type. And so this is going to be about that, I think. Heroes works a little bit differently. The ping system is adequate. Chat is adequate. It could, of course, be better if you're on Skype with all your friends or in this new BattleNet communicator. That is always better. But for an FPS, I think it's imperative that there's voice communication for you to be successful, especially at a high level. And so I think that a lot of players coming from other games are going to have an expectation, like, I'm going to try Overwatch. And why do we have to use Mumble or Ventrilo? This sucks,
Right.
So I think that there's going to be an expectation of players coming over for Overwatch, that this is a feature of BattleNet. And so this is them kind of finally coming to Jesus and going, well, we got to have this in our game.
Yeah. I think so too. I mean, I think it's time that this happens. Actually, it was before. It was a year ago that this probably needed to happen. But they're getting there, and that's good. That's good. I like it. All right. I can't go to the questions this week because we're running long. But let me go to the BattleNet news.
Chatty Cathy's.
For real quick. Well, we had a lot to talk about. Dairies.
Finally.
Your fault. But we'll go to a fairly quick version of the BattleNet news. The BattleNet news. All right. By the way, the BattleNet news is brought to you by Pumpkin Spice. I have to bring that out every chance I get.
October yet?
It's good until Thanksgiving, I think. All right. All right. First up, Overwatch. Last week we talked about the live stream event on Thursday. Real quick, around the room, did you guys all watch it? I'm guessing you probably did. You probably saw something of it. Let's go around the room. Darius, what did you think of the new thing?
I watched it, and I'm still just as excited as ever. I watched it at work with a whole lot of people being like, what are you doing? But because it wasn't sports, people were confused.
It's sports.
But
esports.
I'm super excited for it. Just to get to see in not a canned, produced video of how these things play. I mean, I played this at BlizzCon last year, but so much has changed since then. They've added so much. And to see this play out for a few hours, and to see all the different heroes and how they react, and to finally get the understanding, because when they talked about this and when they showed it at BlizzCon last year, I very much felt like they wanted a TF2 competitor, a class-based competitor like that. And that's what I've been expecting this whole time. But to see how this actually plays out now, I understand that, no, this is first-person heroes. That's what they want here. They want a MOBA that's first-person with a few of those elements, like being able to change your heroes when you die and things like that. And it makes a whole lot more sense now seeing it play out, when it's not just a video of here's one character and, here are her abilities.
Right.
So now I'm even more excited for this thing.
Right. And Tattva, it's almost kind of like they're taking kind of like TF2 and Smite in a lot of ways. Kind of that first person experience. I know that Smite is third person, right?
Third person,
yeah. But I mean, it's kind of the same thing where you're following the hero through this whole thing. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, totally. Like, I mean, it's like as far as like the maps go and the objectives and all that kind of stuff. Like, there's the other FPS thing. I think Smite's doing it. This company that makes Smite High Res or whatever. Aren't they making a Overwatch type game that's
Paladins.
It's
called
that's
Paladins.
even more MOBA than this?
Yeah.
Because there's lanes, there's minions, there's all that stuff. But this, I mean, Overwatch is more TF2 in that regard. Like, you're not going to go around shooting little cowl dudes in the head, to try to gain levels and stuff. But so it's TF2 in that way. But yeah, it's, the whole first person shooter and introducing that whole aspect of being able to change your hero between deaths or between whatever, like that increases the chess game that this game is going to be, and counter picking and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm either going to be crying on the 27th or dancing around my house like a mad person.
Right, because closed beta was announced for October 27th, and I think that deserves big applause because that's awesome. And Mick, that goes kind of with your prediction on this show about when Overwatch would come out.
Yeah, I predicted October for Overwatch and then December for WoW beta.
Kind of weird that it's a week before BlizzCon, though, right?
It's just so they can hand out beta keys at BlizzCon.
Oh, that's it. That's what
I think he's completely right. I think they're going to say, "Hey, we did that closed beta a week or so ago. It was really popular. All you attendees get a free." Beta key on your way out. It was in your goodie bag. Hope you didn't throw your card away. I think that's going to kind of be how it goes. And everyone at BlizzCon's going to go, yay! And it's going to be amazing. My pants are full of poop right now. My pants filled with poop. And that's kind of what
I do not want to go to that BlizzCon.
Oh yeah, it's going to
the
be
nerd stink is going to be incredible.
Oh,
jeez.
Picture your definition of a shitstorm, and that's what's going to be.
But this is going to be pretty incredible. I mean, I was watching this thing and I was like going, oh my God, like all the strategy stuff that was going on, switching heroes around mid-play. The gameplay looked fantastic. Oh,
there's
geez.
no doubt about the fact that Overwatch is a blast to play. It is completely fun. Whether or not you're going to be able to devote 6 hours a night of playing it, I don't know what kind of gamer you are. But it's a lot of fun. It's all team-based. It's all objective-based. There's no slaughterhouse mode, so it's not like let's kill as many people as you can. There's objectives and everything, all the heroes. So, I mean, it's they're bringing their own spin to it, which is fun. And there's going to be a lot of maps, and each map has its own objectives, and the heroes are kind of fun. And the introduction of melee to the arena is always kind of an interesting thing. And these roles of tank and support and damage and all that good fun stuff. So, they've got a lot of fun things that they're doing with Overwatch. It's going to be pretty successful, I think, if it can find the right market and they can make inroads into it. I know that one of my co-hosts on Stormcast, Notch, he's already kicked off his own show called The Watch. So there's a lot of people who are excited about covering this game and getting into it, and especially streaming it. So we'll see, and I think that there's got to be some big announcement for Overwatch at BlizzCon, and it's going to be, here's access for everyone who came. For you digital ticket folks, you get access. And that's going to be their big announcement for this. Because outside of saying the game will go live, they're not going to do that.
Right. By the way, who do you think is going to have the big announcement for BlizzCon, just in general? Guys, all of you. Mick, we'll start with you. What do you think? Which property, which IP, which game is going to have the biggest shock announcement?
Well, I think it's your definition of big. I think the property that seems to be lined up to make a big announcement is Hearthstone, and that's probably going to be either another adventure mode or another expansion, right? So they're the one game that hasn't announced anything.
Sure.
And up until this point, Legion has already been announced. World of Warcraft is going to be mostly centered around the movie this time, at least the trailer. And they're probably going to do the cinematic for Legion as well. So that'll be the two big announcements for. But I think the big like here's really cool new content comes from Hearthstone. Everybody else has kind of already spilled the beans on what they've got.
Right.
Heroes doesn't really have anything to announce outside of another event like Eternal
or another Conflict, another battleground, or another thing,
and that's all cool and good, but that's not a big announcement. That's just stuff that's already happening. Yep. So, big announcements are the next expansion to World of Warcraft is, and that's already happened. So. I don't think that Diablo is going to get any love in this particular BlizzCon, which is a bummer for Diablo fans. That's going to happen next year at Gamescom. And we already know that StarCraft has an expansion coming out the next week. The only thing is, could there be something, out of left field? Doubtful, because you usually can figure that out by just looking at the schedule and the map.
Another new game. No. Well, maybe. Who knows? Tattva, your opinion on who's going to get the biggest announcement for BlizzCon?
Hard to argue with Mick. I think he covered it all, really. Everything's out. They've talked about everything. They'll flesh out details, but really, for the big games, the ones that people are excited about, people already know all about them. So
for sure.
I mean, hopefully we have some dates. That would be sweet.
Yeah,
dates on everything.
Yeah,
dates
well, we should have
everywhere.
dates on the Legion beta, because I think they said that earlier this year, where they said, "Hey, we plan on kind of unleashing this stuff, at BlizzCon latest." So hopefully we hear more about that, which would be good.
I will amend my answer and say the big surprise announcement will have something to do with esports. Because that seems to be what this BlizzCon is focused on.
Yeah.
So either some regular presentation of Blizzard games on a major network, a la ESPN, or something to that effect, or we're kind of reconfiguring how we do our own kind of Blizzard-sponsored tournament seasons, and here's what it's going to look like. That's kind of what I would say is a big announcement. If you think esports is a big deal for you, I think you're going to get some love in this particular BlizzCon.
If you think Blizzard doesn't think that esports is a thing, then look out, because you might be disappointed, because I think that Blizzard is behind it all the way. Darius, what do you think?
I am positive we're going to see a new Diablo expansion announcement.
There we go.
There.
Awesome.
Cool. I feel like they're being really transparent with this BlizzCon and what we're going to see.
Well, there is something in the wind kind of about tournament stuff. So I think, Mick, you might be on the right track. There's something kind of in the air about something with that. So we'll see exactly what happens.
They've done nothing with that ESPN announcement since Dorm. So
I know. All right. Well, we're gonna get the heck out of Dodge. We're not gonna do any questions. We're not gonna do anything like that, because we're run long, because Darius couldn't keep his yapper shut.
I know, I talked too much.
Way to go. Let's do some 5-star reviews for those folks that gave us 5 stars on iTunes. Darius, who do we have to thank this week?
We have Lemmer.
Many M's.
Many M's. We have Ken0217. We have Elements Aside, and we have Smosher DB.
We have Ermagerd Schmersher.
Me? Yeah.
We have Ermagerd Schmersher.
Speaking of which, the new Muppets TV show is really good.
Yeah.
You should watch it.
It's like The Office with Muppets.
It's really good. Anyway.
Awesome. All right. Any shout-outs this week, fellas? No? All right. We'll just move on then. I want to give a shout-out to you guys for showing up today. That was amazing. It was great to talk to you guys.
It's like a jab at the fact that I didn't show up last week.
Well, kind of. A little bit. A little bit. What, is work more important? Come on. Get real.
Maybe I'm not going to show up to BlizzCon.
Also, I want to thank all of you guys out there, the chat room, the guys listening, the guys watching the VOD, all that kind of stuff. We cannot do this show without you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to rate us on iTunes. Thanks for all the feedback and questions that we did not get to this week that we will push to next week and see what's going on. But please feel free to join in on the conversations we're having at any time, and you can do that real easy. But first, I'm gonna just bail out of that, and then I'm gonna play that. There we go. You can email us at converttoraid@gmail.com. You can call us and leave comments and questions on our raid line, 612-787-RAID. That's 612-787-7243. You can follow us on Twitter at converttoraid, or individually. Isn't that right, Darius?
We got Pat Crane. He is at Pat Crane with a K. Darius, that's me. At Bored Mind. Tattva is at LOS_gaming. And Mick is at Mick Montgomery.
That's the one.
Man, that's really long.
Are you guys doing anything?
At least you didn't call me Mitch. That's
MickMontgomery.
Again, he can't keep his yapper shut. Anything, Tattva, do you have anything going on this week that you want to let people know about, or anything in the next couple of weeks as you gear up for BlizzCon? I don't know.
Like, Line of Sight Gaming's pretty busy right now. Like, we have a lot to do before BlizzCon. We're hoping to do these 2-minute get the 2-minute topic series started, and
Cool.
that's basically whatever we want to talk about for 2 minutes.
Awesome.
But probably what you can expect for the first
I could
7
not be on
videos
that
is an
show.
introduction to us, and then an introduction to the different Blizzard IPs. That's the idea for the first, just
Well,
to get ready for BlizzCon.
We might
so.
have to link that on our website. Who knows? Who knows what's going on? Mick, you had a great conversation on Stormcast last night about what Heroes needs to do. I want people to go listen to it because it was really, really great. Anything else on the way for you?
Yeah, we got a new episode of The Starting Zone coming out this week, talking about some lore stuff for leading up to Legion, especially Burning Crusade, or the Burning Legion itself. So a lot of conversation about those folks, those demons and such. Also, my Walking Dead podcast, Dead Fans Talking, is back with a vengeance with season 6 premiering a couple weeks back. So if you're a Walking Dead fan, check that out at deadfanstalkingshow.com. And then also have a comic book movie TV show podcast called Super Heroic, which is over at superheroicshow.com.
Awesome. And I just started up a new show with my friend Jewel Scott. It's called A Case of the Mondays, where we talk about weird crap. That's what we do.
Is it done on Mondays?
It's done on Mondays. Look at that. So you can get that at signalsmedia.com/Mondays and check it out. We just did our first episode this week. It was pretty fun. I liked it. There's music in it. I get to do music again. It's great. Darius, anything with you?
I don't do things.
No, you don't do things. We got to change that. We got to make you do things.
This is the thing.
We got to make you dance or do something. Dance, monkey. All right. Okay. Let's see. You can gotta pick up the script again. Okay, join the Bazooka Goblin Nation by heading over to converttoraid.com, where we have show downloads, forums, videos, audios, tons of links for raiders, stuff about the guild. Everything that we do is over at converttoraid.com, even the live shows. converttoraid.com/live. That's what you need to know. And we do this on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Look at that. The Convert to Raid podcast is produced and distributed by Signals Media. Make sure to check out our friends on the Signals Media All-Star Network at signalsmedia.com. That's going to be it for this show. Tattva, Mitch,
Yes,
Mitch.
No, I answered to both.
Darius.
That's me.
Thanks, guys. Really
Wow.
appreciate you being here. We hope.
Sure sounds like you do.
I had a good time. I hope you guys had a good time, and I hope you guys out there had a great time. Thanks for so much for tuning in. We'll see you on our next show next week at our regular time. Once again, Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Central. And for all the guys at Convert to Raid, bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Should have called him Tovo.
Tovo. Tatvo.